And you can hear me, right?
Yes, yes,
All right,
yes.
perfect. Because she was on and said, I can't hear you. It's like, okay, cool. All right, here we go. Got a lot to cover. So if other people come in, awesome. We'll make it work. Um, we'll make this box big and we'll be good to go. Okay. Awesome. All right. So welcome to the Copy Clinic. My name is Kelly Harris, and I'm good grief. I'm an email and funnel conversion specialist. So what I do, I'm a mom to 4 beautiful children ranging in ages from one that will be 14 next Tuesday to one that is 7 months old. And what I do is I help people actually build copy that is heart-centered copy that is going to build relationships with their ideal clients and their audience so that they can actually create the impact that they want to create. Every single time we do a copy clinic, I like to start with mindset. It's my favorite thing to start with, and it gives us a really great idea of kind of a foundational piece so that we can then do a mindset piece, do a mini lesson, and then get into the copy, which is why you're here. So mindset. I am reading this amazing book. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. This book is called Soundtracks, and it's talking about how we deal with overthinking. And the 2 bits that I really wanted to pull out of it, my mindset piece for today, is delusional positivity and spare change. So what that means, delusional positivity, I laughingly told my 14-year-old a couple days ago, I just figured out what you have. You have delusional positivity, because every time mom starts to be like, oh gosh, I don't know if I can do this, or I don't know if this is the right step, he says, you got this, mom. Don't worry about it. No matter what, it's going to work out. It's going to be great. It'll be wonderful. And so I'm reading this book, and it talks about delusional positivity and how important it is. And it talks about Crispin Porter Burkowski, which is the ad agency behind massive campaigns like Burger King's The King, thinks that positivity is so important that it's actually listed in their employee handbook, and they call it delusional positivity. And they believe that there is no way that we can do what we have to do here without a relentlessly positive attitude. It shapes our future. It creates our momentum. It keeps us moving forward while we're pushing the boundaries of possibility. And I felt like that was just, we really have to have that delusional positivity as entrepreneurs, as people that are creating the change that we want to see in the world. And then the other thing that it's talking about, like, I'm not very far into this book, but it was talking about spare change, and I wanted to read a little paragraph out of it so that you could have this little bit, because this has been kind of a game changer at our house. And it says, spare change adds up. If my goal is to write 1,000 words, I'm going to write 1,050. If my goal is to run 3.1 miles, I want to run 3.3 miles. If my goal is to email 10 clients, I'll email 12. I think of that extra effort like spare change. It doesn't seem like much, but it adds up. Over a year, those extra 50 words turn into 5,000. Over a year, those extra 0.2 miles turn into 50. And over a year, those extra 2 emails turn into 200. I don't force myself to run the extra 10 miles if my goal is to run 3. We're just looking for spare change. So that's your mindset tips for today. We're going to have illusional positivity. Oh, sorry, we're not there yet. We're going to have delusional positivity, and just think about every little bit of effort that we put in. It's spare change. It's going to add up. So our mini lesson is actually one of my favorite things to talk about, and it's the 4 U's. When we write, we want it to be useful, urgent, create that sense of urgency, unique, and or ultra specific. The more we can kind of align and grow into these things, the more you're actually going to really connect with your ideal clients. So let's go into it. Useful. We have to get past the main objective of any marketing message, which is, what's in it for me? What's in it for them? Like, they need to know so that they can connect with it and be like, whoa, oh, hey, you're talking to me. Let's go. So we have to figure out how we can quickly tell them how useful our product is or our service, and how they can't live without it. If we can get those two things, we've got their attention. Now we can give them more where they can start to really identify that, yes, you are the answer to the problem that they are currently having. It's helpful to include some sort of valuable advice, a tip or a trick, something that's going to actually help them help you show them that you understand the challenges and that you're a trustworthy source of advice, and ultimately you are the answer that they're looking for. Urgent. We don't want to be too pushy because that can turn people off, but some audiences need some sort of incentive. An SLO, which is a self-liquidating offer, this goes away in 2 days, or the first 5 people get this. That can give you that sense of urgency. Or the LTOs, which are limited time offers. Again, that's creating that urgency to get people to take action, because a lot of people will be like, oh, that's really great, let me think about it. Or they'll say, that's great, I'm going to come back to it. And then they forget to, because shiny object syndrome has kicked in and they're off in left field. But for some audiences too, fear of missing out can get them to act. If you're like, this is really great and we want you to be a part of it, it can be enough of an incentive to actually get them to take action, which is pretty much the goal of whatever we're writing. We want people to take action. Unique. We need to understand your competitive advantages and disadvantages of whatever you're offering. You need to understand why what you have is special and why it is different from what everybody else out there is doing. This took me a long time to figure out. People would be like, oh, what's your secret sauce? What's your secret sauce? Your secret sauce is you. You could be doing the exact same thing as someone else, but the way that you deliver it is going to set you apart from the person that's doing it as well. And then the last U is being ultra specific. Ultra specific means that you could target a very specific audience. You can have a very specific offer. You're letting people know, like, this is for you, because long ago I was told, if you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. And so we have to make sure that you are specific enough that people actually realize that you're talking to them. You want them to be like, hey, this is why I'm the answer to you. This is how I'm going to help you. And so I know that was kind of fast, but it's actually one of my very favorite copywriting things that we can do, because if you can remember these 4 U's, you're already ahead of most people who are like, I'm just going to use the formula and write my sales page, but they're not being unique, not being ultra specific. They're not being useful, and they're not being urgent. They're just going through the motions. And once they start to do it, they forget that there are ways that we can actually help ourselves stand out.
Yeah, one thing I noticed too, can you hear me okay, finally?
Yeah.
Good. One thing I noticed too is that it's really easy to get caught up in good copy, because it's like things can sound good. You're like, oh, that sounds good. Like it sounds professional, level up, next level, your utmost potential. And then but if you look at it, you're like, it's not actually saying anything. Like you said, it doesn't have anything useful or specific. Like, what does next level mean? What does that really turn into? And so it's easy, but like, it's such a fine line. And I think we don't have somebody like Kelly or something to help us kind of guide it to really see what it needs, or something like this 4 U's. It's so easy to get lost in just something that sounds good, right? It's like the shiny, like, oh, but then underneath,
100%.
nothing.
And then you think it sounds good, but your ideal client's like, I don't understand, which
Yeah.
is actually one of the pieces of copy we'll get into today. I am one of the target people. And my first thought was like, I don't understand what's happening here.
I don't understand.
Like, oh, you were talking to me? Oh man. Okay. Like,
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
but
Oh
we'll get
goodness.
into all of
Okay.
that. But so the copy clinic, we're going to start with Nikki's email sequences. So Nikki's
And
goals.
sorry, Kelly, real quick before we dive in, are you okay with managing any people coming in? I don't know if you wanted to add me as a host, if you want me to manage anyone who
I'm
might
still
need
kind
to
of learning how to do
come
this. But
in.
yeah. Give me just a
Okay.
minute. See if
And
I
if
can.
anybody's running late, I threw a little reminder. I know we had quite a bit registered, but I think people just want to remember to catch the replay sometimes.
No, you're fine. Give me just a minute. I'm still learning all these new things about
No worries. You just navigate to participants, and
because
then
I like
it'll
where it
pull
says
me up, and then the 3 dots you can
mhm.
add, I think, like make co-host.
So like for some reason mine says make host, but which is fine. But It's
Huh.
got to be a setting, so I may have to play with it a little bit.
Yeah, let's not mess with that. We don't want to mess with the
I was like,
recording. But if you're fine, I just if I, if I can help or if somebody's
yeah,
coming
no
in,
worries.
just let me
And
know.
if something pops up in the chat, that would be super helpful.
Yeah, sure, sure, sure.
So with Shengay, her stuff is permaculture garden. She wanted some help with the
But
course.
Nikki, right?
Yeah, Nikki. Sorry, Shengay. That's what my mind is. Yeah. So this is for Nikki. For permaculture garden, she wanted some help. These are actually emails that are going to go out when people buy the course. So this is basically like module one's emails. And so this is post-purchase, the email course. And the goal is to excite people to log in and actually do the course. So some of the top concerns that she was looking at was she wanted to improve her copy. She wants to encourage her audience and she wants to stay top of mind. And
Mhm.
so it's actually like the first email when I read it, I was like, this is pretty spot on. I love how we've got hey there. She's got it's personalized for the person's name. She's like, hey, welcome to the course. This is what it is, which is I love. It's like it's self-paced, it's A to Z. Like this is gonna be awesome. This is gonna
Nice.
guide you step by step. My suggestion would be I would turn this into a sentence because I know the whole thing is kind of a sentence, but I would just be like, that's what it is. Now we're starting out with a new sentence. So like this is good. Like she's got as you grow sustainably from seed to harvest, like this will help you grow sustainably from seed to harvest because it feels a little
Nice.
weird and a little bit disconnected because it is still part of the sentence, but it's because we've got the bullet points in there. It's also a little bit broken up. And so it feels a little bit weird.
Yeah.
I
But
absolutely,
making more of a statement sounds a little more powerful there than the
right.
as you grow, right?
Right. So basically the idea is like, this is what it's going to help you do. That's that back to
Yeah.
that, what's in it for them. This is why you need to do this. It's going to help you grow from seed to harvest. And then I love that here's a little video to help you log in. Now we're actually going that step further. We're putting a bow on it so that if you are lost or you are like, I don't understand, she's actually got that help built in.
Mm,
And then this
nice.
little bit at the end is like, hey, remember to change your password after you log in. I love the happy growing. That's just perfect for a garden. They're doing their stuff. And then the PS, if you have any trouble, let us know. 100%. Your
Yeah.
call to action, go do the thing, go grow, but also know that we're here for your support. We're here to support you.
And I think
Email.
what's important in that too is that the goal because it's so easy again to nitpick. You could be like, oh, we could say this or we could say that. And you could look at this and go, wait, are we hitting our goal, which was to just welcome them into it and stay top of mind, right? And it
Yeah.
seems like it did that really clearly and what could be some help and whatnot.
Right. Now we get into email number 2. I actually, the information's still good. Hey, this is the first module we recommend you doing is starting with sprouting. Here's why. Good. She just told them why it's important. I would actually move the links though. This links to log in. I would move that right before she does her closing because right now it feels like a laundry list. Whereas it's like,
Mm,
here's why. Now, sprouting is a short, sweet confidence way. Like this is going to help you be successful. I'm giving this to you so that you can experience success. And then I would put the links to log in underneath because they are almost an afterthought. They don't
hmm.
necessarily need to be right there in the middle. Boom. And I would even finish this with like happy growing or like here's to sprouting or, like let's grow this together
Yeah.
just because
Sprout
it's
together or
yeah.
something, sprout forward.
Yeah, so that it's just nice and I mean like the copy itself is not bad. We are great. The only other thing that I might add here because she's got here's why you're going to get food to eat in a week. Um it's going to teach you the basics. It's smart, specific, awesome, and it's fun. The other thing I might add to that though is I might even come in and say like this is going to help you're going to experience success fast because you're
Mhm.
incentivizing them actually going in and doing module 1.
Yeah, yeah. And
Um,
it's powerful because again, we're doing a kind of a welcome nurture sequence, right, from this program. And we forget that all these little things really matter because the completion rate of courses, no matter what type. I know Chenge just ran an email course, right? Those things people don't finish, and so these little things that like helping explain where things are, and we kind of think of it like, oh yeah, that's just basic, like these little emails, these little details. I love that you pointed out not to have all the bullet points together because it feels like a laundry list, and just that little visual thing to switch it up that changes their experience as they're stepping into this new program. So I love that.
yeah, in fact, I actually as I worked through this, some of the things that I went ahead and pulled up was hey, there's 5 reasons that I could find that people give up on a course. They get bored, lack of time, their
Mm,
expectations versus reality. They start having technical issues, or they have no motivation, because
mm.
the statistic that I could find said 5 to 15 people actually complete a full course.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's super low.
it's super low. And there are some things that she can do that are actually going to help her be really successful. And we'll get into that here in just a minute. But so email 3, again, it's really short and sweet. This is the easiest day of the course. Taking photos is a great way to document your process. And then she's like, hey, jump in and take photos. My suggestion here would maybe say, like, what makes a good photo versus a bad photo on this? What are we
Mm.
looking for? Um, could we do like a 3-minute Loom video that says, like, this is a this is a great way to take photos. This is not a great way to take photos. You will not
Mm.
be able to document your success if you take photos in the dark. Like, it's not going to work. Um, because
And it
it,
also makes it feel less overwhelming. Like, photo, what am I supposed
yeah,
to
like,
do? Like you
am I just
said.
taking a photo? Am I snapping? Like, because then all overthinking
Yeah.
is going to step in. Like, oh my gosh,
Yes,
do I have to
always.
start hiding? Okay. Oh my goodness. But if you're telling them, like, this is a good photo versus this is not
Mm.
a great photo versus this is a terrible photo, feeling, then you're giving them some expectations, and it actually makes it easier to go into the group and be like, hey, I took a photo because I followed what you
Mhm.
said. Now our photos, I can actually start to experience and actually see that growing over time. So
Mhm.
that would be my suggestion for this one, is just giving them that little, like, cool, what makes a good photo? How do I do that? Because otherwise I will be honest, I'm the queen of the overthinking. Like, I'd be like, I can't do it. Like, even if you give me, I'm going to go into the group and I'm going to look and see what everybody else is doing.
Right.
Then
Did I
I'm
do
gonna
it
go,
right? Is that what I'm supposed to do?
right, like,
And
is
it's
this
these
right?
little
Like,
things
there's
we don't think about. We're like, oh, they get it. And it's like, it's not again about the perfect line. It's not about the perfect, like some psychology. Sometimes it's just being really clear, just telling them exactly what to do.
and it takes the guesswork out of it, because there are
Yeah.
some people that will sit there and spiral for hours over, like, I took a picture of the dirt. Was there supposed to be something in the dirt? Should I Photoshop it something in that dirt? Like, you know, and if you're just like, it's okay if there's a picture of dirt. Like, it's fine
Yeah.
if there's a seed in there.
Yeah.
It's really going to help people just
Yeah.
kind of just be like, oh, that's how I take a picture. Awesome.
Yeah.
Done.
Ease
Action.
into doing the work, right? Like we just said, it's them joining it and getting on your list was not the full thing. It wasn't the whole win, unfortunately. And that value and work that you put into that course or that series and whatever it is, we again, it's easy to kind of dismiss these as like admin emails, and again, I think as Kelly's saying, it's not about overthinking them. It's really just remembering how it's really about like clarity, right? So far each of these emails we've just been adding a little nuance of clarity, extra steps, to see that we've moved them to finish all that amazing work, because if they don't do your course they won't get the awesome results, right? And so we got to do all the little tiny things that we might not think matter to make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So email 4 is very short and sweet. Hey, did anything sprout today? Remember to grow. I would add something here. I would be like, hey, like, here are our 3 pictures that people sent in, or, like,
Mm.
here is kind of like maybe day 1 versus day 3 versus day 7, so that you kind of have an idea in your head of what you're actually looking for. Because if you're a mom that you're like, I want to eat organically and I want to grow, but I've never had a garden because I live in New York City, and like, my garden is, a 2 foot by 2 foot little plot. Like, what am I looking?
Right.
And so if
Yeah.
you have that experience, they don't know. And it actually would make the email just kind of a little bit more pretty, but also to have a purpose, because right now it feels a little like, I sent this email because I had to send this email, but I don't really want
Right, right. It's a very
to.
admin email. I do love, and I just noticed that because I'm a big, big person about having the links in the emails as much as possible. People just aren't organized. And a lot of
Oh,
times I remember people, I'll get emails like, yeah, you got that email, you got that link, when you first registered. And it's like, no, no, no. Please be putting that in every
yeah,
email
don't make
because
me
I'm
look
not
for it.
gonna, yeah,
Because we're
don't
trying
make
to
me
make
look
it
for it.
easy. This has to
Yeah.
be easy or people won't do it.
Yeah.
And that's why it's
Hmm.
like, if you're like, here's what we're looking for, you're giving them that bullet point to look like, oh, mine looks like day 1. Awesome. Mine kind of looks like day 3. Cool. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
Same with
There's
email
so many
4 and
times when
5.
I go write an email and I'm about to write, you can check here. And I'm like, just put the link in there, Tanya. All right,
Right.
put it in. And
Right.
it
Because
pays off.
yeah, you don't want to make them have to spend 30 minutes to look. And that is one of the
Yeah.
things. I love that is on every single one of
Yeah.
them. because it makes it easy. I can grab any email and it's there, and I know it's there. Day 4 is talking about photosynthesis and learn more about it. If you have a blog or something that it's connecting to, give them the 3 main bullet points. Give them that like little snapshot and then say, hey, to learn more, now go read the rest of the
Yeah.
article.
Yeah.
But
Gives
just because,
that intrigue to read it.
right, because right now it's like, cool,
And
oh, I have to
sorry,
go.
I just
Oh,
have a
go ahead.
quick question. I know that you guys are emphasizing copy, which is awesome. But then there's people like me that are very visual, kinesthetic, people, and I rather have like some kind of picture that links me somewhere. Do you know? Like,
Mm,
so like with sprouting, I would think something that would be really, really enticing might be like something to the effect of, I know that sprouting has way more nutrients than the actual food. So like almost an infographic saying this many sprouts would equal this much broccoli. Like, do you know what I mean? And then you would
Yeah,
see
something
like the
exciting, yeah,
difference.
about it.
Yeah.
because
Like
what you're
something that really draws you
100%.
in.
I love having images and GIFs in my stuff because it keeps people entertained. We are in a world right now where we got something like 10,000 or 15,000 messages thrown at us a day. And like you said, if it's not visual, we're just kind of out. It's like, oh my gosh, I have to read. Oh, kill me now.
Yeah.
Um, that's the general
Or
population.
or I'll put it in my folder and look at it later.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Also,
And you never look at it later. Like you put it there with the intention, but you're like, yeah, it's okay.
100%. And I love that idea because I mean, even with photosynthesis, you could have an infographic that talks about it and then put the 3 main points underneath and then say, hey, to learn more, go to the Sprouting Center and learn more because that same infographic could be part of that blog. But
Yeah.
an infographic, our brains are actually wired for images. So it's much faster for our brains to digest that information than it is for us to go and read like a book on it. It just
Yeah.
is.
And I think this is a perfect moment to just bring that reminder. We talk a lot in our copy shops and in a lot of the feedback we give on websites about design hierarchy. And I don't mean like the cute, stuff. Yeah, all that cute stuff's great too. But we're talking like even just how you are writing the titles and buttons and making sure that things have bullet points and headers. Those little pieces in emails, it's not just about it being pretty, but for those of us like Michelle who are very visual, that kind of outline really helps. And it's not about, again, bells and whistles and, like having all these extra little, cute swirlies and stuff. Like I love the background like Kelly has here, right? But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the just understanding kind of how the flow and the visual look of bullet points and titles in your emails or your other communication really matter for those of us who consume that kind of consume visually. So yeah, it's just a great reminder.
And I think it's so important to realize that like our Gen Xers, the millennials and the Gen Zers and we were raised to be visual. I think something like the
Mhm.
population is like 80% visual and knowing that as you're building out your web page or your sales funnel or even your copy can be super super helpful because the other thing is our brands are try again. Our brains are wired for scannability, which is why bullet
Yeah.
points are great and short sentences are great because we can digest a ton of information really, really quickly if it's presented in the right way. If it's
Yeah.
not, it's a whole different, it becomes drudgery and nobody likes that.
Yeah.
So, um,
Yeah. Yeah.
same,
It's an art. That's why we have these sessions. It's an art.
yeah. Well, same with email number 6, do sprouts need oxygen? Give us a little bit more information. Tell us why we need to get into the sprouting course and find out. Like, well, do they? Here's 3 reasons why they do. Here's 3
Yeah. Or
reasons
you'll be
why they,
surprised or
right,
something.
right.
Something to
Like,
make it interesting.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because right now, like you said, these feel very admin-y, but they don't
Hmm.
have to be. And you want people
Hmm.
to get excited. So you kind of, it's kind of like when you go to a birthday party or you get cheesecake and you start with a teeny tiny slice because you're going to try to be healthy. And then you just get a little bit in it. And then you're like, oh, I ate like a fourth of the cake. Now now we're in trouble. Like,
Yeah.
but the same kind of thing. You kind of need to dangle that little carrot and give them something to latch onto, that little hook, so that they can then be like, I want to know more.
Yeah.
Right now, I
And
would
what's
open.
beautiful here again is that it's not about overkill. I think the other
Yeah.
side I see people do is they go
Yeah.
into like full blog mode. And when you're onboarding people to a program they should be taking, they don't need the emails to also be another chore. So
Right.
these should be informative and give enough to why, what's in it for me to do this next step. So I think we went on the other side here. They were so admin-y that it was like, hey, just do this. But we just a little more to say, why should
Right.
I do it?
This is very, very, very simple. Like we've just gone in, this is what I need you to do, which is good. But it's kind of like when they talk about ads, it's almost like an ad for your course. Like we got to have that hook, and it's the offer is go do the thing, So like we have to get them. Oh yeah, I'm excited about this. Oh yeah, I want to know more about photosynthesis or why we need oxygen. And then we get into email number 7. Hey, want to see what you're doing today? If you have access, awesome. I would actually go a little bit further with that. Like, hey, we're almost there. And maybe even this is a great place. This one or even the next one is a great place to go in and recap. So in the first week, this is what we've seen. We started with dirt. We got a sprout. We've got stuff. And now what are we going to do with it? Either one of these 7 or even 8 might be a great place. I think actually the next one, she talks about challenging the family to do it. I would actually go a little bit further and say like, hey, here's my favorite recipe. Here's something really easy that I can do. Like if you're going to be like, hey, here's our sprouts. Great. If you want to hide it, because she talks about when you read it, challenge your family to eat these sprouts or sneak them into, I feel like those are 2 separate thoughts. Like challenge your family. So here's a recipe where it's out in the open.
Right.
We've
2
got
different
sprouts.
things I see. Okay.
Or if we're going to hide it, here's how we make it so they're getting the vegetables without being like, hey, let's just be sneaky with the family.
Right.
And I think too, like she talks about the photos and recipes are going to inspire us. Hit reply and tell me how it inspired you. What was your key takeaway here? Because my questions, moving forward would be like, are you planning on sending an email out every single day for every module? Like how many modules do you have? Those are going to
What's
be
the long-term game
yeah,
plan with this
what's
type
your
of
goal here?
support?
Because another thing that I've seen be really successful actually in a course that I was in is if they didn't access it, if we didn't access the material within a couple of days, an email would come and be like, hey, did you hit a roadblock? What's going on? How can I help you be successful? And it wasn't
Nice. Yeah,
because
that goes, oh my, someone's paying attention.
right. And
Yeah.
it's not something you see very often. But if you can
Yeah.
actually rig it so that it's going
I
to do
wonder if
that,
it's built into the platform.
well,
It's
I
like we
mean,
have to do some investigative work, Kelly.
right. I thought about going into it because I know that she at that time was housing that course in Teachable. But I do know like the very first time that I sat down to do it, if I missed 2 days, it would be like, hey, what's going on? And I got
Okay,
that
yeah.
email several times. The other suggestion that I would really, really say like would be really helpful for you, Nikki, if you haven't done it, is I would have an end of module form at the end of each module. And the reason is, one, what's working, what's not working. Give them that opportunity to give you feedback. More importantly, that is an opportunity for them to tell you what they love about it, which can be used as social proof. So if
Absolutely.
they're 5 to 10%, if that's all that's going to complete, how do we get social proof from the other 85% to 95%? And what I've seen be really successful is there's Catherine Jones, which she does a lot of stuff that is ClickFunnels related or like how to build a website and whatnot. She had it built in so that of 10 modules, at the end of every module, they filled out an end of module form and they got a little digital creature person so that they could collect them. But the thing what she said is that for me though is social proof. Instead of getting one piece of social proof at the end about how much they loved the course, I get 10 pieces of social proof go all the way to the end. And if they
Yeah.
don't, I still get social proof if they
You
only
still got all those pieces every time they get it exactly, because that's a big thing. Is not everyone goes to the end. And as you're, especially the first time you might be launching a course or doing something like that, that kind of feedback's invaluable because again, people's follow through, no matter how much intention they have, they might be real gung-ho week 1 and 2, but week 5 or 6, it's a different game. And so when you're being mindful to put this, and I want you to see, I think what's beautiful here, I don't know, does Nikki have any more emails in this sequence?
Email 8 is the last one in the sequence.
Okay, just the 8 guys. All right, just no, I'm just kidding. But what's beautiful about this is that I think a lot of us kind of go, oh no, is this overkill? Is this too much? But what's happened is she's systematized a relationship. She has systematized a kind of a hand holding into her program. And this is a part that, again, I think we tend to kind of dismiss sometimes putting this effort into it, because it's like, obviously a lot of our focus on just kind of getting the first point of, getting people in there, getting the landing page. But this part of it really that ensures their success, it builds in the testimonials, it builds in feedback. All of those things are really, really powerful. So it doesn't always have to be 8. And for some people, it might be more, but this can be a great example. So well done, Nikki, for putting all that together and walking them through. And I think with those tweaks, you'll be pretty good.
Well, and what I love about this too is you're creating an experience. You didn't just say, go do the course, you'll get the experience there. This is it's almost a side experience. Like,
Yeah.
not only do I want you to be successful in the course, but I'm going to give you the support here in the email so that you have extra support without, and it's almost like we're becoming friends. Like,
Yeah.
you're doing the course. Yeah, you're doing this, but like really at the end of the day, it's not about the course. It's about the fact that I care about you and I want you to eat healthy. And like, these are
Yeah,
my,
you're getting that little insight from her and who she is. Yeah.
right. Right, which is great because what it's going to do is as she continues to build out these things is eventually you're going to have supporters that are so loyal to you that it's not going to matter what you put out. They're going to be like, here, credit card, done. Like, just
Yeah, let's do it. I know,
shut up
because
and
I
take
know
my
what you
money.
do
Like,
helps me, right? That's what happens. And when they continually are served, then it gets comfortable to say, I know that every time I show up with this person or do something in their presence, like I have a win. So then that investment, that pulling out the card, like that becomes real easy because they've experienced it. And even if it's an email, even all these little forms, all those little extra touches, like they do more than I think, we realize. So I love it. I love it. Well, I know we have a big roster today.
and we've
I'm
got
trying to
two.
be mindful not to talk too much.
You're fine. We've got 2 more to go. I'm going to show
Okay.
you this is what we're going to go to, but I'm actually going to pull up her her stuff so that we can kind of go through it here.
Yeah,
Because
this is
that way I can
Shangming.
move
And
it
if anyone, those of you watching the replay, anything, if you're wondering, Shunmin and Nikki weren't able to be here today, but this is actually the kind of support that you get. When you sign up for the copy clinic, hopefully you can make it, which is great. But if you can't, you can still submit and we still get feedback. And even if you don't have a piece, to come in and just kind of hear these different things, kind of go, oh, interesting. I didn't think about what I could do in a sequence and what we're going to learn, what Shangmin is doing and the other submissions we have. So just remember, you can always be part of it. Every other month, go sign up.
Yeah, we'd love to have you. So Ming, she asked for some help with her webpage. She said, this is my homepage. I show it to my TA so they have an idea of what is happening. But I'm feeling like it's a little all over the place. And usually when I look at a website, the very first thing I do is I scroll through and I'm like, okay, yes. All right, I've got an idea. We've got certain pieces here. Awesome. And then I go back to the top. I'm like, cool. This is called above the fold. If you don't know that, basically it's like, can you see before you scroll?
Yeah.
Cool.
Your prime real estate. I like to tell you guys, your prime real estate. This is what you build here
100
matters.
100% because some people never get past this. And the last statistic I looked at was like 0.03 seconds, milliseconds is how long someone's going to decide whether they're actually going to scroll through or
It
you're
used
not
to
the
be like
person.
3.5, but that was honestly probably 10 years ago. So my
Yeah,
goodness. Yeah. You have that short of time to tell somebody what this is and what's in it for them. Like that. That's what
yeah.
that sentence has to say.
So what she's got here is, hey, we build with love. Are you inspired to not build successes, but also purpose and meaning in your success stories? Couple of immediate thoughts. First of all, it's a beautiful website. There are so many things that I absolutely love about it.
I love her image. She's just so joyful.
Exactly. I love the we build with love. I would change that little subheading. One, I feel like it's a tiny bit wording, but also the minute you put the word but in, you negate the other sentence.
Hmm.
Just because
But right. Instead
so
of
we've
down
got,
here.
so if
Gotcha.
you're going to do that, you say and instead of but, and
Hmm.
also. But my suggestion would actually be to say, helping high achievers aspire and cultivate purpose and meaning through your successes.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because
because with here, we don't know what we're building with love or who we're building it for, right? Like we kind of have a generic, are you aspire to build successes? Well, yeah, but what kind, who? And there's successes in all different
right.
areas with and success stories, which is just not cohesive to who. and the what, right?
Well,
Like
and
real clear.
100%, like I said earlier, I technically, because her ideal people are high achievers, entrepreneurs,
Mm,
corporate people. We all fall under that. But literally the first time I went through it, I was like, who are we talking to? I'm so confused.
right.
And so
Hmm.
by just saying helping high achievers, oh, you're talking to me. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's gonna really, really help because now I want to know more. And then the
Yeah.
next that
And
comes
that's
into
what we mean in that real estate, that like you have a very short moment to explain a couple of concise things. What is it? Why should I care? Well, and who is it for? Is it for me? And if so, what is it and why should I care? Like those are
right.
the three. I don't, you probably have prettier questions to answer, Kelly, but I'm going to say for now, those are the three. Like, who is it for? What's in it for me and why should I care? Right. That's just, that's it.
Well, and it's so funny because, if you watch Bluey, there's Unicourse, which is like, and why should I care? And there was a point on this when I was scrolling through and I was like, all I could hear was Unicourse in my head. Like, wait,
Yeah.
what's the point here? And then she's got the legacy of love. We empower high achievers to build their success into their life's unique legacy of love. It's not enough. I don't know what legacy of love is. It's
Okay,
a
that's the specificity that we were talking about, right, in the
yeah.
beginning. So this is kind of where like it means something to us, especially as coaches. We have like a lot of wording, and this is like the level up or next level that's it, because it can mean so many different things. It feels safe for us to use, but actually the problem is the lack of specificity. And it'd be much easier for you to say something specific that even is not what that person means. And I'm going to give a very quick example. I've done this a lot, which is if I told you, have you ever had a morning where wake up and you knock the coffee over and the cat runs outside and you're stuck in traffic on the 405 for 2 hours? Most of you can go, I've had a morning like that. Even though you might not have had a cat, you might not have driven 2 hours on the 405 because you never lived in California. But you can all relate, no matter how specific it was to me, you can take that and go, oh, yeah, it wasn't a
You
cat,
get
but it
that
was this,
feeling.
and it wasn't coffee, right?
Yeah, it's definitely the feeling because like ultra specific. We used to teach this, like if I taught this with kindergartners, we'd be like, imagine a cake. And then we'd
Mm.
talk, you tell the kids, you're going to a birthday party, you're going to have a cake, blah, blah, blah. And then we'd stop and be like, cool. And we'd ask little 5-year-olds, like, what kind of cake? And real quickly, there are all different kinds of cakes. Some have chocolate cake, some have white frosting, some have blue lettering.
5-layer cakes, big
Yeah.
sheet cakes,
But
yeah.
then you're like, okay, close your eyes again. And then you're like, okay, we're going to this birthday party. There's a teddy bear there. You know what? The cake looks like a little house. It's brown. Now we're getting specific enough that all the kids are envisioning the same cake. This is kind
Mm-hmm,
of where that
mm-hmm.
ultra specific thing comes in. Like you said,
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be, oh, I've had a birthday cake like that, but you're creating that feeling. And with this
yeah, that
legacy of
connection.
love, tell me why it matters. Tell me
Mm-hmm.
how I can use it. Why is it important for me or for your ideal person? What's in it for them? Cool. They're going to learn about this. But at the end of the day, if you said something like, get to the point where you are a little dot at the love embodiment, and that is going to open up opportunities for you beyond your wildest imagination. Because now I'm like,
Mm.
okay, why? Tell me more. Like now I
Yeah,
at least
you
have
kind of
some
have to
understanding of
teach
what it is.
me about, right? You have to like teach me why, like, so why do I want this love? What's the problem that I don't have it? Why is that an issue for me? And like, what does my life look like if I do have this? Because if this concept is not, if your audience isn't meeting you at that concept yet, you have a bit of education to go
Yeah,
through, right?
definitely.
So
Because
before you
otherwise
talk
it's
to
just
them
me.
in your coach version, you have to kind of meet them at what they understand, which is typically the problem rather than the solution, right? Which
Right.
is how they feel.
Yeah, and this would be a really great place to be like, here's your problem. Let's agitate that. Now this is the solution as you kind of
Hmm.
explain it a little bit. Because if I'm not in that mindset coaching space, I don't know what this means.
Right. It's like too soon. It's too advanced.
Because then you're like, hey, is this you? You're telling me, is this you? And what I would do here, some of these are a little bit long. I might break them into smaller bits. Because like, do you have setbacks and heartbreaks and challenges? That might be one part. Do you struggle and simply do not get up and get going? That's another thing. Because you have to make these bullet points really easy for people to identify. Because, like Michelle said, it's too many words. My brain, like, I can't. But if we can
Yeah.
say
Hmm.
short and sweet, is this you? Because you're trying to get them to say yes. Yes, this is
Hmm.
me. Yes, this is
Yeah.
me. And then
And it sounds like she has a lot of the pain points here. So Sean Ming, just because I know this is like a big leap for you to come in and get feedback, and this is this is a big leap. So I know we're giving you a lot of information here, but one thing that Kelly mentioned very quickly was the pain agitation solution, and that is known as PAS, and it's a formula. And you start with kind of the problem or the issue, and right here it looks like this you is really what you're touching in is on that pain. And then you're kind of going, when you don't do anything about this, will get worse and it will not be so great. That's the agitation part. And that's when you actually introduce your love part, the solution.
you
And
have
we're ready now.
they're not in the right order.
Yes, exactly. So it's like you actually do have some the pieces here. For some of it is little clarity needed in the beginning, but I think here you actually do have the right pieces. It's not like she said, not in the right order. So I just want to give you some encouragement here. I know it's a
Yeah,
lot to take in
yeah.
and it's new.
And well, yeah, and take it with a grain of salt. This is just what I see, and I love to geek out over these things, and it's not uncommon for my husband to be like, "Go to bed." Okay, so that's what happened last night. Now your book, a love discovery call, and you say like, "Hey, no gimmicks, no sales talks. It's just for you." To me, that's more of a coffee chat, and two, it feels like there are gimmicks and sales talk. Like, I feel like it feels very like, I'm telling you there's nothing, but like, this is a sales page to get you to buy the thing. I don't know that it's necessary to have that. Like, if you're wanting to just say, let's talk, let's just talk and see, or, hey, and I know I watched this in one of the videos that you had talked about, Tanya, like if it's a discovery call, tell me what I'm going to get out of it.
Tell
Like,
me
if
what's going to happen on the call.
like
Yeah,
this 15-minute
demystify the
call.
call.
Yeah, and if it's this 15-minute call, I'm gonna give you 2 action steps, and we're gonna see if this might be a program that you're interested in.
Yeah. Like
Because then,
or if you have a certain method of what you do on that
yeah,
call, some people do like evaluations on that call. Really, just actually telling them what happens on that call will break down so many barriers because they don't know what a love discovery call is. They don't know what your consultation is, assessment, a discovery call. Really just spell it out. That like
right.
just tell them what's going to happen, demystify it, take the mystery out. And I'll say, just imagine walking down the street and someone comes to you with like a shoebox with a hole in it. They're just like, put your hand in there. And you're like, no, I'm not gonna. They're like, come on,
Right.
it's gonna be great. It's wonderful. It's really gonna help you. And you're like, no, it's
I don't know
what
you
I
from
really
Adam. I'm like, no.
like, I'm not gonna do it. And it's what we're doing with our calls, so really just let's tell them what's in the box.
Yeah, so you don't need I don't know that you need the disclaimer bit. There
Yeah.
are things that we could go
Yeah, and
into.
I see what you're doing there. I mean, I actually love, you guys know a lot of my marketing does say that. It's kind of calling the elephant out in the room. I think if there's something where, Sean Ming, you've noticed people have a doubt or distrust about the nature of the call, perhaps we could still call out the elephant in the room of like, hey, this is just a call or whatever it might be, but we could say it in a way that I don't think that because of the area of that you're in, I don't think it necessarily immediately conjures up like, oh, she's gonna sell me. But maybe there's a different way we can create ease for them so we can cross that bridge when we
Yeah,
get
you're just
there.
like, hey, no gimmicks, no anything. But I also know of people that are like, wait, if you tell me no gimmicks, I feel like there's gonna be a gimmick. Like,
Right, okay.
you said no, but really. And there's like, we could go way more into this, and Sean Ming, if you want, I can make you a Loom video and go through it. The only other thing that I might suggest, one, that's a lot of text, we can fix it. And even though you're talking about what you do, is there a way that you can talk about what you do for them? Like, even when you talk about the about me, it needs to be about how you're the answer for them, which makes it really easy. Because yes, they want to know about you and they want to know that you're the right person, but ultimately this comes back to that what's in it for them piece. And so
Yeah.
you kind of have to say, like, I went through all of this so that I could create this framework for you.
Yeah, which allowed me to do this or understand this to
Yeah.
support. I always explain to people, it's like if anyone that went through the good old, days of corporate or looking for jobs and resumes, you may have had a position that all the things that you did really qualify you for another job. We can't expect that hiring manager to say, oh, I understand that she ran the janitor's team and she wants to run this executive team. And they're going to just look at that and go, I don't get it. But if you sit there and go, I also managed a team of 15 people and had to create complicated schedules and see project deadlines that manage this many buildings and this many staff and this many teams. If you explained and connected the dots for them to say, oh, I see how that connects to this job briefly, that's your job in your about me section. Your job in your about me section, take all those amazing things about you and connect them to why they matter to them.
Yep. And I've got two last thoughts and then we'll get on to Shanghai, who's been so patient. One, you have some social proof, which is great. Be aware that people have to see themselves in that social proof. So like you've got like, I almost want a little bit more of the story, but you've got this in 3 separate places. I don't know that it's necessary because it's a lot to kind of sift through as we're looking to book a call. The other thing that I noticed with yours is every 2 swipes, we got a book now call, which is beautiful. Make it easy for people. We're trying to make it easy. So it's an easy yes. And then the last thing I'll say about this is that, anytime we're doing a funnel or a web page or anything like that, make sure it's mobile friendly. Most people are looking at it on their phones, like 80%. I mean, so if it is not mobile friendly, you could be losing people there because if they're like, hey, I should talk to I should see about Shang Ming Chang stuff. Oh, it's not pretty on my phone. I'm not going to go find a desktop.
Yeah. Or if I have to like go left and right just to kind of jump into my sign up for your newsletter or something. Yeah. We're just going to stop. We're going to give up.
Yeah, 100%. So we got to make it as easy as we possibly can. And kudos to you for being brave and putting it out there. Cause I know,
Yeah.
the one other thing I will give you like a little piece of advice is I recently, like I'm reading this book Soundtracks and it talked about don't use a red pen when you're putting in and changing things. Use a green one because a red pen makes it feels like your document's bleeding. But if you use a green one, then you could be like, it's growing. It's
It's
growing
growing.
and getting
Yeah.
better. So
It's trimming, right? It's really trimming and going through the sweeps. And that's the thing is we always approach it that it is always our first draft. And our job is not to get copyright necessarily the first time, just to make sure that we're connecting. And that's why we have this kind of support and have different eyes because it's tough to see it for ourselves. And
100%.
when you have these other eyes, it's to support. Yeah, it's to support and help you grow.
And I love people to help people do this. Like, and she's 100% right. It is the hardest when you're doing it for yourself. So it might be helpful. And this is just something that I have done is like figure out who your ideal client is, pretend like they're sitting there having coffee with you and you're talking to them as you write it out. It makes it a lot easier because you're getting out of your head.
Single person. Yeah. Just having a real person. With Chang'e, how we got something from Chang'e now?
Yeah, we've got some stuff from Shanghai. She wanted some help with her copy, and hopefully I'm in the right place on this. With the stuff she wanted to say above the fold for her teams and her individual side. Am I right? I'm in the right place idea here.
Well, it's more for the individuals than for the teams, but yes.
Yeah, you're fine. Because what I was gonna say is I would model just looking at the two. I really love in your teams where you've got these are frustrations and you've got those statistics. I would find statistics for individuals as well. Because if you look at this, which is the one for teams, and then we come over here to individuals, they don't look bad. The copy's actually really good. But the whole goal here is we're trying to get the people to self-identify. How do we get them to self-identify? And having those statistics is just going to be like, oh, 70% of people, blah, 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 or 70% of people, that move to another country face some sort of problem because there's that cultural barrier. It's like, oh, I'm not alone. I don't feel like you're muted, Tanya.
Yeah, I was gonna say, oh, like that might really be me. Cause you might go, I don't think that's gonna happen. You're like, oh, 70%. I might be, okay, maybe I should check this out.
Right.
Maybe.
Right. So if you had just some couple of statistics like that, that's what I would add. Because that was my thought was like, it doesn't look bad. The spacing looks even good. I might space out just a tiny bit more because again, we're going for that scannability. But if you add those statistics, it makes it easier because a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, I'm having this problem, but like nobody else is having this problem. So is it really a problem or is it a me problem? And you want to be able for them to be like, oh no, it's not. Oh,
this is normal. I should definitely get help doing it. Yeah. Isn't it? It's like, it's such a weird thing. Like when you realize you're normal, you're like, oh, everyone else thought this was also frustrating. This happens with me with Google all the time. And I'm like, it's just me and I'm just messing it up. And then someone's like, oh, it drives me crazy. You're like, okay, it's not just me. Somebody else is just frustrated. And it really still, it's that sense of belonging. And like, I love how Kelly said, seeing yourself. And that's a big part of that copy. And Jenke, well done. I mean, you have so many years of copy clinics that you've got some great copy here.
Yeah. I mean, and that really is like the bit that I had for you was like, I love in the teams, because was like, I'll start with individuals. I looked at it, I was like, I feel like it's missing something. And then I went to the team side and I was like, it's the statistics. Like,
Mm,
no, like being able to compare them side by side, super helpful. Because
mm.
the copy itself is spot on. But the goal is, how do we quickly get people to be like, oh, hey, I'm the person, please talk to me. Like, I do need your services. I am in a foreign country, or now this is my, like, I
Mhm.
am the foreigner. Like, like,
And I
how do
can say as an expat, like it really is helpful to help us identify because there are so many different versions of us. I mean, there really are. And to understand kind of what version you're helping. I know a lot of times I'll see something and go, oh, that looks like me. It's like, oh, no, that, 5 pages later, I'm like, oh, it's for students, or that's for people who have, jobs and doing this thing. Or, and so just, especially for like expat type stuff, just helping us go, who it's for, what exactly
what
it's,
type?
supporting with. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
huge.
100%.
So,
But yeah, there you go. That was all of our copy for today. So hopefully you guys found that helpful.
uh,
But
yes.
I had a really
And
good.
Kelly, will you recap those U's again too? I loved those. Those were so great that,
Yes, that is actually it was one of the first things I was ever told. And it's so funny because I from time to time forget it and then it pops back up and I'm like, oh yeah, I do remember this. So the 4 U's are useful, be useful to your reader, urgent, provide that sense of urgency to get them to take action, unique, convey the idea that the main benefit is somehow unique to, and that's usually the secret sauce, which is you. And then ultra specific, which is you have to be ultra specific with the above, because if you try to talk to everybody, we talk to no one, and then we wonder why it doesn't work.
yeah. Yeah. And that urgency again, too, it doesn't have to be like some slimy, on none of that stuff, or it doesn't have to be stressful. It doesn't have to be shameful. But the truth is we all have decisions like in time to do. And I've seen people write, hey, we're wrapping up because we're starting soon. And so if you're on the fence, this is the time. And if it's not your time, that's okay. But that you can be as respectful and calm as possible with still telling people that there's a deadline, right? That's just the way the cookie
And when
crumbles.
you tell somebody that, you have to follow through, because if you tell them that it's
Right.
only here for 2 weeks and then a month later you still have it up, it's not
Yeah,
good.
false scarcity, that's a whole other thing, right? We don't play those other ghost game because they don't pay off in the long run. That doesn't help. And so make sure, yeah, if it's going to be done, it's done. And that's why those like timers and fake countdowns that we do, those are all old news. Like, get off that. But don't be afraid to have urgency. Like I said, that urgency that's in there, that ultra specific of what your offer is. The uniqueness, I love that you said that, Kelly, that it really more times than not, it's you. It's the way you do things. It's the way you show up. It's the unique angle or vision that you do. And a lot of times it was you 5 years ago, right? It's you where you were talking to that person going, remember when we were still trying to figure out and we were lost and we didn't know. That's who I'm talking to. That's who we're supporting.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a lot of great ways to grow your copy, be effective. Because your word, this is it. What you write for most part is the biggest use of your voice that you're going to get, because you're not going to get individual conversations with everyone. And if these words aren't really nailing what you're trying to say, we have miscommunication. And so this little finesse, this thinking of all the things you say, all these little like tips from Kelly, and the feedback and coming and just doing the work and showing up. I mean, it really pays off when you're doing this online work. It's one of the most powerful things. I think when Kelly and I met, I think I went on and on about how obsessed I am with copywriting. Not just because I'm definitely not into words and all that, but it's the power that it has in your business, the power that it has in your communication to really help people understand if you're for them or not. Your job isn't to manipulate, it's to connect with the people who are specifically for you. And if you don't know how to call them by name, we're going to miss out on your people. And so that's what we're trying to
100%.
do.
100%, because the only way that you can, especially as you grow, is start to actually like copy yourself is going to be through your copywriting and through you doing video where you've written the copy. So either way, it's such an important piece of what you're doing that it's so important to be able to say like, hey, I've nuanced this. I know who I'm talking to, because again, you're not trying to talk to everybody. You're trying to talk to
Yeah.
the right people. And that
Yeah.
is in and of itself can be a whole chore. But once you figure it out, you are so far ahead of other people that are just putting out content for the sake of putting out.
Generic. It's scary. That's, I think the thing is we get so scared to go, but I'm leaving somebody out. You can have 4 messages. If you have 4 different people to talk to, I'm fine with that. And we can talk about that more in your business strategy, but I'm fine with that as long as you're being clear each time who you're talking to this time. Right? Like you still can't talk to everybody. So that's what you're going to have to decide. And if you don't like that you're talking to one person one day and someone different the other, then you're going to have to think about your business strategy. Otherwise, be okay with having different messages for different people, because it is what's necessary. So before we wrap up, Kelly, please make sure everyone knows where to connect with you, obviously in the group, but I know you have some great resources as well. And while she's getting that info together, this Thursday is the Modern Business Mastery community session. For those of you who aren't in any of our paid programs, we do have the community session, and we'll be focusing on growing your audience. And we're going to really be talking about actually a lot of email and lead magnets and those kind of things, and how you actually bring people in to this space after you've written these lovely things. So make sure to RSVP to that. It's free for all of our members. So that's going on. And then Kelly, please let them know where to connect with you.
Fine. Give me just a second and I'll share it with you real fast, one more time. Maybe we'll see how we're having one of those days.
If not, while she's doing that, find her in the portal. She's in there as well.
Find me in the portal. You can connect with me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, or email me 100%. Like I will answer, I promise. It's not me. Nobody else is behind the scenes, even if I sign it a different name. It's just me right now.
It's her.
Like I always tell people, my coworkers poop behind the couch. That's where we are. Okay. It's just life at the moment. And also on YouTube. That's the other place, because from time to time, like I will put this kind of stuff on YouTube, and then I also try to get in there and just say like, hey, this is what's going on, and here's your lesson for today, and let's just go. So those are ways you can connect with me. Super easy. And you can always connect with me in the portal and shoot me a link there. So
yeah, and any of the resources, I know if you have some freebies, they always feel free to drop that in the feed and let people know how to get on your newsletter and all that great stuff. So thank you all for being here, and make sure to thank Kelly. And I hope you all got some great feedback, and it's getting some insight to your actual pieces or pieces that you'll be doing in the future. So thank you so much, Kelly, for supporting us this way.
well, thank you guys. I love being able to.
Thank you all. Thanks.